All right, so Marc Vahanian, sitting over there. What is your connect? We'll get to it because Marc has, he founded Pathway to Kinship in 2017, correct?
I think our official is a little later than that, but yes.
Right. And Pathway to Kinship, you work with formerly incarcerated men and women.
Currently and formerly incarcerated men and women, yes.
But the ones who are coming out, you are helping provide or find access to homes, jobs, and anything else they need.
Wraparound services.
Even how to do a job interview and
100%.
how does a cell phone work and stuff like that, right?
They actually know how to use a cell phone, unfortunately.
Oh, because they're in prison.
Well, they're not supposed to have them in there, but that is one of their issues.
That's supposed to have a lot of things.
We'll cut that out so that you can get back in the prison system. Okay, but let's, and the reason why the three of us are sitting here is because how long have you known Marc?
Probably 25 years. When I was when I was around 42, right? I had I was telling you, I just mentioned to you when we met, when I came in, I had a heart attack and a stent put in. My joke used to be, same thing Dick Cheney had, except they left my heart in. That was my joke. I told it to his face once. I was doing the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and he was sitting right to my left. And I told that joke, and he was pounding the table. He was laughing so hard, thank God. Yeah, so I had a heart attack, and he was my trainer.
At the time?
They assigned him to me. The doctor did.
Dr. Dan Eisenberg.
Dr.
God bless
Eisenberg.
him.
Yeah. And then the first time we did anything, he came over and he goes, "How you doing?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm all right." And we went for a walk. We went for like a 30-minute walk. That was my first workout. Just walking in the sunshine after having my stent put in.
Which is was it back then an in and out? You got to put in and you walk out that day, or were you in?
I had my heart thing on the Drew Carey show set. They took me to St. Joe's.
Wait, tell me that. Were you literally?
Oh, I have a whole story about.
Please tell us.
You ever had heart trouble?
No, but I'm looking at it real carefully.
Oh, okay. So, I was really overweight, and we were supposed to come back to start taping. I always go to the writer's room, so I would start around July or something, or June. We were going to start taping. I got to lose some weight. So I thought I would just start jogging. So I had a little chest heart monitor and whatever. And I was jogging down my street, and my heart rate went up to like 160 or something like that. Like really crazy. And I was like, oh, and I felt like numb in my shoulder. Like all the things that I read were heart attack symptoms. But I thought if you had a heart attack, you would go, eh, and fall down like in a cartoon. I thought that's what happened when you had a heart attack. So I was like, oh, that's really worrisome. Let me slow down. And then heart rate went down to like 80. And then I went, all right, I'll just start, which is always high anyway. And then I started again, and it shot right up. And it happened a couple times. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but I saw a deer cross my path on that run, which is supposed to be an omen about something. So I was like, well, let me just go home. And I walked home, and my ex, Nicole, was with me at the time. And I was really upset. And I got her on the phone because of this thing happened. And she goes, "What's wrong?" I had the weirdest thing. I had all these like heart attack-like symptoms. It really worried me. And she goes, "Oh, baby, is there anything you want to do? And anything I can do for you?" And I go, "Yeah, I want to go to Bob's Big Boy. And I want you to hold me while I play Civilization on my computer." So she'll get ready, and we drive to Bob's Big Boy.
Oh, wait. I thought this was a setup to a joke.
No. We drove to Bob's Big Boy in Burbank, and she held me in her arms, and I had my laptop out, and I played Civilization on my computer with the Wi-Fi from Starbucks next door. And I had a chili size, which is a ham cheeseburger with chili on top of it. Or chili spaghetti. I take it back. I had chili spaghetti.
Much healthier.
And an iced tea after having a heart attack. And then she goes, "Well, promise you'll call the doctor in the morning." And I said, "Yeah, I promise I'll call the doctor." And the next day was the first day back. And we were doing a big special like stunt show. So there's a bunch of people there. And when I got there, it was all, hello, how was your summer? How you been? And I didn't call the doctor, and I did rehearsal, and I felt okay. And then when rehearsal day was over, it was all like run through light. And then I went to the writer's room, and I'm sitting in the writer's room, and the sun had already got down, and I felt something in my chest again tightened up. And I went, oh, I'll be right back. Let me go to my trailer. So let me go to the trailer and call the doctor. And I went to the trailer, and when I went to step up the stairs to my trailer, I really went like, oh boy, that was rough. And I got on the phone to the producer. And I said, hey, you have to call the ambulance. I think I'm having a heart attack. And she goes, oh my God, I'll call right away. And I said, we were talking about Sam Simon as a guy we had in common. He used to be the showrunner on Cheers when he was in his early 20s. One of my best friends, also created The Simpsons. And he worked on the Drew Carey show too, day a week. And he was there. I think he might have been directing. And I go, come get Sam and tell him to come see me because I want to say goodbye before I go to the hospital. I want to make sure I said goodbye to Sam. So Sam came over to my trailer, and I go, hey man, I don't know what's happening, but I'm on my way to the hospital. I just want to make sure I touched him before I went off because I didn't know what was going to happen. Then I went to the hospital, and I was there overnight, and they took tests. And Dr. Eisenberg I lucked into having him, and he said, oh, we're going to put a stent in you. So the next morning, or the next day, he did a stent where he put my artery in my leg. And then I stayed another night.
So it wasn't an artificial.
No,
it was part of your body.
Yeah, he went through the artery in my leg with a computer thing on and put the stent in my thing, and then I stayed one more night and I left the next day. And I was just like weak as a kitten. I would just like sit around, and then Marc showed up and we went on a hike, went on a 30-minute walk.
Wow. Yeah, I took
showy spaghetti after a heart attack.
Just to catch up, you, Marc, you were an actor. You were on Broadway as a young man or a boy?
A boy. I was 13.
Equus?
No, I was 13 when I was on Broadway. It was called Time of Your Life by an Armenian, William Saroyan. I got lucky. And when I was 14, I was brought to Hollywood for the first time by Stanley Kramer. By the time I was...
Wow.
Which movie again?
It's called Bless the Beasts and the Children.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that movie.
Yeah, and he saw you in New York and Broadway?
Yeah, saw me in New York. I auditioned, and when the movie came out and flopped, William Morris dropped me.
Wow.
So at 15, I was already, working on a
but
comeback.
Then you kept working. You were in films, Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
You were in Amityville Horror too?
Yes.
Coming Home with Jane.
Coming Home, yeah.
And then Lou Grant and a lot of other stuff. So you and I met when we were part of an actor support group.
Dan Fosse's The Mastery.
Yeah.
And that was all about self-expression, playing full out, and that's where we met. And then we were part of this actor support group.
Was it like a actor's workshop thing?
It wasn't like an acting class, but it was like, take a look at, you may think you walk into a room presenting yourself a certain way, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're walking in with hey, fuck you. I know you're not going to hire me. So there was a sense of getting to know who you are, how you present yourself.
Oh, I've done a thing like that.
Working on
those are really important.
Yeah.
And like if anybody who's an actor out there those kind of things are more important than how to win a scene and all the other stuff they teach you in a regular acting class. Who's your character, all that. Like, it's more important to find out who you are and what you are inside, because you're really the actor in the room. Like
wrong. Excuse me. I've been, binging your work the last 2 or 3 days.
I started writing jokes about what a bad actor I am. I'm a bad actor, I tell you. I was in Romeo and Juliet, end of the play. I was still alive. I was in a Christmas play. I wasn't off book till February. Bad actor. My agent's another actor that looks just like me.
This is much better.
Bad, I tell you, bad. I got nominated for Academy Awards. Steven Seagal won it.
Uh-oh. Marc, you're a great audience.
Those are pretty good jokes, right?
Those are good.
Real good joke. Let me
Little
go.
Rodney Dangerfield in there.
But yeah, those things about like one of the biggest thing you have to get over as an actor is the fear of judgment, right?
Yeah.
And the fear of like somebody's going to think I'm bad, or somebody's going to think badly of me, or think I'm being silly, or if I cry, or if I like. You got to go 100%, man, and forget
And
all
it's
that.
not just, it's life. I mean, I find that to be,
it helps out in life.
I will waste an hour or two at night worrying about what to ask you so that I appear like a good,
Like you.
host or something,
Like
and
you
you'll
care.
like me or something. And
like you
finally I give up. I finally give up and just go, what am I genuinely curious about? And then go from there. But it's
That judgment thing
yeah.
applies also for these folks in prison. So I was working with a woman just this past Friday was convicted 20 years ago. So she served 20 years and she's about to go to the Board of Parole. And she said to me, I'm concerned they're going to judge me for what I did. And I said, well, they are. That's what they do. But that's not the whole story. But that fear of judgment also aggravated the shame, and she was getting stuck in that. And as soon as you just acknowledge, well, yeah, you are going to be judged. And now what? That you're able to then move forward.
Fear of judgment, shame, triggers fight or flight, all those things. Like that's an automatic reaction, one thing to the next. It's how a lot of people end up in jail in the first place, is they don't want to feel shamed.
I want to go back to how you guys met and work our way up to Pathway to Kinship so that people really know what it is you do and what it's about. But how did you first hear from Marc about Pathway to Kinship?
I got a cold call, just like you.
I know we're friends, but I need money now.
Drew, I haven't talked to you in a while. Still got any money?
This would be the Marc Vahanian roast.
Oh, painfully true. I was driving around volunteering for organizations before we started our own. And at some point I was like, well, how am I going to pay for all this gas? And that's when we started to say, okay, well, what else can we do? Started the organization. And yes, I went reaching out to people who trust me, know me, and tried to make a case for what we're doing.
Okay, this is either going to be an editing nightmare for you, or people will hang in. But Marc, I want to take you back to acting wasn't satisfying you enough. You started to be a physical trainer.
I'll share it a little differently.
All right.
So 3 careers, 3 trips to Hawaii. So first, as an actor, I was brought to Hawaii for an episode of Heart to Heart.
Yep.
Robert Wagner, Stephanie Powers.
Classic.
Somewhere in my 20s, I discovered that Hollywood and the business was not really interested in what I had to offer. Broke my heart, was all I'd ever
That's a good way to put it.
It is. It is.
It did. And, in the middle of being very depressed, I also had to feed myself. So I had to figure out another way to make a living, which I'd never even thought about since I'd been at it since 13. And that's when I had done a play called She Also Dances, where I played a gymnast dancer. And our mutual friend, Brad Blaisdell, who's no longer with us, asked me to get him in shape because he'd seen me in this play. And he said, I'll buy your gym membership. And that was the first inkling. And then I, took all the classes, got certified, and same thing, went around asking people I knew who were successful and might be able to afford a trainer. And before I know it, I was working with you. I trained Bruce Willis for a film. Woody I worked with for a little while. Johnny Cochran was
Whatever happened to that guy?
Johnny Cochran was like my favorite, unbelievable person to work with. I worked with him for about 15 years, worked with him through the whole OJ trial. He was amazing. I learned a lot about the justice system being by his side.
You were training him during the OJ trial?
I was training him before the OJ trial 3 mornings a week. And when the trial was getting going, we were working 4 mornings a week. So he upped his game.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Wow.
I never had a bad moment with him. And we worked at 6:30 or 6 in the morning. He was a remarkable person. Somewhere in all of that, I also was just, got an itch to do more. And I was studying trauma resolution through the body, somatic work, and somatic leadership. And the Mick Fleetwood and Stevie Nicks flew me to Hawaii to get them in shape for a tour. And when that was finished, I came back and I started working, pursuing corporate folks. Morgan Stanley flew me to Hawaii to work with 200 advisors, financial advisors. I also, during that time, started drinking, which was new. I was contrary to being Mr. Fit, and my wife wasn't having it. I don't know if you know that, but she wasn't thrilled. So I went and got some help, went to a program, and while I was doing that program, I read Father Greg Boyle's 2 books, Barking at the Choir and Tattoos on the Heart. Father Greg Boyle is the founder of Homeboy Industries.
Yeah, moving into a new place.
Yeah, Homeboy Industries. And I thought, well, while I'm doing this, getting my shit back together, maybe there's something else I can do to be of service. And I started volunteering for various re-entry orgs. Homeboy's one, several others. Job interviews you mentioned. I started helping folks who just come home learn how to do a job interview. And I just, was doing more and more of this and got really into it. Then I met a nun. She brought me into prison. So I had a priest, then a nun, and I'm not even Catholic. The nun, her name is Sister Mary Shawn Hodges. Hi, sister. She introduced me to the work inside the prisons, and it just was mind-blowing. And I was moved. I was discovering that my experience, my skills, my life experience brought something to the table of value. And I just kept going, and that takes us to here.
Fantastic. And we'll talk more about that in a second, and what really some of your experiences. But how come you stuck with this? How come yes, you like him as a friend and a trainer and all of that.
I really trusted him, and he was always really super positive. Like I barely touched a vegetable when I met him. Honestly, remember the time he tried to?
I do.
You tried
I brought you a drink.
Yeah, you brought me a protein drink or something,
Yes, I did.
and I was like, protein drink, and he's like, yeah, they taste fine. Just try one. They're not bad. And I was like, all right. If I have to. It was like, I would go to this is how the difference, I would go to a steak place and have the steak, the bread, the loaded mashed potatoes, a couple beers, and then a dessert. And whatever vegetable it was, I would just leave it there. And then after I got healthy, he introduced me also to the doctor that I still have that helped me turn my weight around. And after that, I would go to a steakhouse. I'd eat the steak, the vegetables, not order a potato or not touch it, not really have the bread. And I just drink water all day. Like I don't drink alcohol at all anymore. It's wild.
Yeah.
And I eat salads for lunch and all that kind of stuff. And even to this day, when I'm eating like salad and has green beans and stuff in it, I'm like, man, 25 years ago, I wouldn't have touched this.
There was a joke you worked into your act at one point. I had told you to listen to your body.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, am I allowed to swear on the...
Yes, please.
So listen to your body. Hey, why don't you jack off and have a pizza? What a great idea. I like the way you think, Mr. Body. We're going to get along just fine.
But what happened when you heard what he was doing? Why have you been consistently supportive?
Well, you know what? When I was I got kicked out of college, Kent State. But it was in the 75 is when I graduated high school, graduated a year early. And I had no business even going to college, but I heard that's what you should do. So I just did.
Yeah.
With no idea what I was doing or why, everybody's like, oh, everybody should go to college after high school. And I had no job skills. It wasn't like I could be a welder or drywaller or anything that people in my neighborhood did. I didn't know anything about mechanics besides doing changing the oil and doing a tune-up. So I majored in criminal justice studies. That was my first declared major because I used to watch Police Story. Remember that show? Another classic. And Joseph Wamba. And I read all the Joseph Wamba books. Joseph Wamba really owes me.
New Centurions.
And so I was like, oh, I think being a cop would be good. So I always had an interest in like the criminal justice system in general and like how it got started and why we have this and why do we have a police force and what's the history of it and why are people in a jail, when there's other things they could do. And when I heard he was starting this, that was a natural interest of mine. It wasn't like, oh, I never thought about prisoners or people in jails. And I thought he was doing a good thing. And I also, I've been on this journey all my life, trying to be a decent person. And there's a concept of forgiveness that a lot of us don't practice. Or if it's a forgiveness, it's a conditional forgiveness. Like as soon as they say they're sorry, I'll forgive them. Oh, I can't wait till they come crawling to me and then I'll forgive them. And then they carry that around the whole time in the meantime, like a dead body on their shoulder, whatever slight they had. And so I've learned to get over all that stuff where I want my forgiveness to be instant and before the fact and automatic. We could talk a whole hour about forgiveness, but part of his pathway to kinship is forgiveness. And the hardest thing, it's easy to forgive. I tell people, if you had to treat people like children, because we're all children in a way, like nobody knows everything. So there's a lot of people our age, older, younger, you come across a new thing and then you're like a child. You have a new thing that comes across you. And a lot of times you don't know how to react. So you throw a tantrum, or your fight or flight gets hit and you've never been in this situation. So you yell. So you have to do, if a 2-year-old yelled or 3-year-old, you don't have to like it. You don't have to accept it. You want it to stop, but you don't see the 3-year-old the next day. If your parent goes, there's that motherfucker that was crying yesterday and ruined my day. What's up, bitch? Like you don't do that to a kid. So why don't do it to a person? And a kid, you're stuck with if it's your kid, but like you don't have to like hang out with somebody that's done you wrong or is constantly testing you or hasn't learned their lesson yet. Doesn't mean you have to hang out with them and be their friend. Forgive them, let it go, move on, let them go on with their life, you go on with your life. But we don't do that in the criminal justice system. The idea is always like punish, that'll teach them. You hear that a lot. That'll teach them. You get 3 strikes. They use these sports metaphors all the time that don't make any sense. The 3 strikes comes from baseball, has no business being in a criminal justice system. It was an easy slogan to sell. And like there's ways to do things and it solves a problem. It gets criminals off the streets and it puts them somewhere where you don't have to think about them. But does it make society better? Is there a better way we can spend our money? Is there a greater benefit, like is there a best practice in the world that we can adopt besides we're going to throw them in a jail? And the history of a jail, was a temporary holding space for somebody to be before they chop their head off. That's what a jail was. And then they decided, well, we'll put you in jail. We won't chop your head off, but we'll keep you in jail longer. And nobody ever thought, like, is there a better way that we can do this? And some people, I guess, belong in jail. And you don't want them to be out on the street when they're so violent and messed up till they get help. But what help are we really offering them while they're in jail? And why do you have to treat people like this all the time? Like people change. People that start out one way in their 20s, when everybody's like, when your late teens, when your brain's not even developed yet, you go in jail for 20 years and all of a sudden you're older and wiser and you wouldn't hurt a flea. And you don't want to keep treating people like that. You have to forgive them and give them a chance to be forgiven. And forgiving yourself is the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing. It's way easier to forgive other people that have hurt you than to forgive yourself. We talked about trauma in the body. You think about stuff you did in your life, things you regret. that you always bring up in your life. That you're always talking, man, if I just never did that, and that comes across your brain every once in a while, and hope that never comes out. And, you have to forgive yourself and move on and let whatever that is in your past heal, whether it's a week ago or when you were 12 or when you were 5 or, you know what I mean?
The forgiveness piece is such a big part of what we get to do. One of the things we get to do is bring in survivors of crime, which is an opportunity for them to get some healing because they get to share about the impact of a crime. But the folks inside get to hear from the perspective of someone who's been harmed, people who've lost sons or husbands or daughters to murder. And these folks come in and they share the story, but they're not coming in with hate. They're coming in with, it's hard to picture, but they come in with love in their hearts. They share how much it hurts, but they, to a person, say things like, you too are redeemable. You too are lovable. And it blows their minds.
Yeah, they are. They've done a horrible thing, but everything should be forgiven. Did you ever watch that documentary about the 2 women that were in the prison camps and ended up forgiving all the people that did it to them so they could, for them. They didn't do it for those guys.
No.
You don't forgive people for them.
You give it for your body, your health,
To get it out of you. You don't want to, why carry that around?
Because it is very destructive to you.
To you, yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you want to, you live a better life if you forgive. You live a lighter life, a happier life.
Not just because you're a good person for forgiving, but literally.
You can do it selfishly.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can go like, oh, I know how to get out of this funk. I'm just going to forgive the guy and then move on. Because when you carry that hate around, and it's super healthy to get mad when somebody does you wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. You should have a period of like grieving. You should have a period of anger and like self-righteousness, like what the hell, but that guy cut me off, but don't think about it tomorrow. Like that guy or did you wrong, or don't carry it around for a year. Like as fast as you can, as you're able to, try to forgive and see that they, whatever their messed up thing is and how they harmed you, you have to be able to forgive them eventually. Don't put up with it, that behavior. Don't be their friend if they're still the same. You don't have to do that, but for yourself.
I always leap over the
table.
I'm a faux Christ. Mary calls me the FAUX, faux Christ. I'm always trying to leap to the saintly, and forgive and all of that, and jump over the fuck that hurt, or oh I'm sad, or the emotional impact. Because then once you at least acknowledge that, you can move on to forgiveness. But I always try to
once you've patched a couple walls that you've punched, then you're like, well, I gotta quit. That's just costing me money. Why am I doing this?
So there's another piece too that I'm sure people out there listening are going, fuck them. They're in, keep them there. They're in jail. I don't want them out, or they're just going to do something bad again or whatever. Talk about how it is not just kind of like a saintly, the right thing to do spiritually, but it's also the right thing to do in a selfish, practical way of what it costs society to not deal with this the way you are, Marc.
Well, it costs somewhere around $100,000 a year to keep one person inside. So
literally
in any one, $100,000 a year. And in one prison alone in California, sometimes there's 5,000 people. Add that up. And there's 30 prisons in California alone. They're coming home anyway. Most of them, 90% of them at some point are coming home. So do you want them to come home healed, healthy, able to work, able to pay taxes and be off the dole? Or do we keep paying for them to be incarcerated and repeating the same stuff?
Because the repetition is what? It's very high. It's getting better though, right?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. 16 to 25-year-olds, they go in and out and in and out and in and out. The recidivism is about 70% within 3 years. It's horrible. But, if you work with teenagers, it's hard. However, folks who've served a whole bunch of time, like 15, 20 plus years, they don't come back. They're done. It's about 1.5% of them recidivize, and that's through domestic violence or drugs. But they're not out there committing, crimes of property. I'm not being an apologist for that 1%, but those are good statistics.
Do you bump into resistance? Is that the kind of, what is the resistance you bump into to what?
Well, I think what you said is screw 'em. They did a terrible thing. They an eye for an eye or whatever it is. They should stay there forever. But that's just not how it's going to be. So we want to make. They're going to be your neighbor anyway. Within a few miles, they're going to live by you. So it's better that they're able to have a job, take care of their family, have families reunited, and that has generational impact. I know families where it's 3 generations of gang members. That's not good for any of us. It's just not good for any of us. So if we can interrupt that and rebuild families, what a beautiful thing that is. I mean, it's beautiful. And I know lots of men and women who've come home and are making good lives. Lots.
You also work with lifers who are never, ever, ever going to get out.
Well, on paper. And I say that because there is a movement now to end what's called LWOP, or life without possibility of parole. Some of the best people I've ever met are currently serving life without possibility of parole. I've met a few also who've been resentenced under some of these changing laws, and they're back. One of them works with me now. Brandon, I met him when he was serving life without possibility of parole at Lancaster State Prison, and he was resentenced, and then he got to go to the Board of Parole after serving 25 years, and he's home. He's doing well in the community. He's a full-time college student, and he gets to go back inside the same prison, Lancaster State Prison, where he paroled out of. And he's a bright light. And the men see him because they know him from when he was inside with them, and they go, their minds are blown because here he is coming back as a free man.
But some of them who are in there that are lifers are also working with you, even though they're not up for parole, to help younger people who are.
And not all younger. Yes. One guy's name is Kevin Tran. He's in Corcoran State Prison, serving a very long sentence, crazy long sentence. He rewrote our curriculum. Personally, he rewrote it. I had using my 7 keys framework, but he rewrote it and made it so much better. But the detail of work that he put in, and when I go in, he's really facilitating the class. I'm kind of watching in awe. So there are people serving crazy terms. Life without, I know a literary mentor who teaches guys how to get their GEDs. He's serving life without. Fantastic guy. Now, again, I never want to say, I know that what they did is horrible, but that's 25 years ago or 20 years ago. And they've done what they can do to repair what they can repair. There's some things that are unrepairable. If you take a life, you can't undo that. But we can start giving back, and we can make living amends, and we can make some direct amends.
What do you say to people? Because a lot of the arguments with people that are like, really, they want to get tough on crime. Like, we're going to show them, teach them a lesson, and you're going to be an example. So other people hear about that, and they won't commit crime because they know that this is what happens to you when you commit a murder. But that's not why people that commit murders don't think of that. That's like the last thing on their mind.
When you're 16 years old or 20 years old or 22 years old, do you think about any of that?
No.
You're out of your mind. I mean, that's the problem.
You need money, and somebody says, I know I can get some quick money.
I want to impress a girl. Seriously, that's some of it. I want to impress some gal.
Yeah, or somebody disrespected me, and I got to teach them a lesson.
Huge. This whole notion of the disrespect in my neighborhood, and oh my gosh, tragic.
So the people will lock them up, and the idea of having like, we're going to have therapy for you. And, a lot of people in America will say like, why should I pay? I don't get free therapy. I have to pay for my food. I have to pay. Why are we giving these criminals that done these horrible things? Why are we giving them all this free stuff? Why are we even giving them free room and board? Like the idea of it rubs a lot of people the wrong way, the umbrage. But, you know, like that's why they don't like, you know, people don't like food stamps or, you know, social services.
I made mine, you can make yours.
Right. That kind of attitude. But, you know, isn't it less expensive for society in the long run? Because like a lot of this, it's like we're fighting against this punishment, shame, we're going to show you, teach you a lesson attitude with a better, more productive way. Like there's a way to do things. Like if you could just chop everybody's hand off if you want to and do that to somebody, but it doesn't deter crime as well as, I mean, I don't want to live in a society like that where people make a mistake and they get their arms cut off. So like, how do you do it? That's like the best way to do it. That's what I'm thinking. Like, what's the most productive, most beneficial to society? They should have a lot more mental health counselors, a lot more people that, you know, teach them how to weld, teach them how to do something so they have a job when they get out, so they have a skill. I don't like the idea of using prisoners as slave labor, you know, for $1 an hour or whatever they get.
It's not that much.
$2 a day.
No, yeah, it's less. But free therapy. Let's start here. I come from a privileged background, even though both parents were immigrants. They were both also psychologists. So when I was starting to get into trouble of my own kind, I got therapy.
Oh,
I got the benefits that none of the folks that I work with that were either brought up in foster care or in gang-infested neighborhood. I didn't have that.
Do therapists as parents?
I know. What do you? That explains a lot.
Bro,
Did they fight over which one was giving better advice?
I'm a Jungian, so I think. Did you ever go to your parents and go like, bro, can I just stand in the corner and skip all this talking? Spare me.
Just smack the bum.
Yeah, just give me a spanking and let me go on my day.
If you had something you could say to the state, what is a practical, real, not just a wish that would further what you're doing along?
But I think it's more than just something practical, because we need to start with the kids. You need to start with families. That's what's happening. You know, you get a kid exposed to domestic violence and drugs. They're already at such a disadvantage.
Yeah, when it's all you know, it's all you know. Like people learn from people in society, in their neighborhood, their friends. You know, not even like video games stuff, yes, but in TV shows and movies, but mostly from their friends who learn from. It's like there's an accepted level of behavior. If somebody does something, this is what you have to do back. Everybody knows it. And that's how people are socialized in America, especially. Like if something does this, you have to, you know, get your gun out, punch him. That'll teach him. And that's the common, like, I don't care how many, you can watch all the Barney episodes you want. That doesn't fight the lessons you get from your friends and your family and people in the neighborhood and people in school that you go to school with and all that stuff. So like, it's hopeless in the first place, don't you think? Somebody was at a couple times. People are at Prices Right now. I ask them what they do during the commercial break. I'm a mental health counselor at a prison, and I go, "Oh, wouldn't have been great if they had that before they went to prison, huh?" And they just laugh and they smile and they go, "Yeah, it would have been."
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'm part of something that you know about Angels at Risk, which is started out more about drugs. If somebody kind of fell through the cracks in high school, smoked a joint, had a beer or something like that, they'd have to go with their parents to this program with Angels at Risk, where it was basically just starting a communication between parents and kids, because in those teenage years, no one listens in that family. So it was just the kernel of, here, this is what they think and this is what you think, and then they would share it in these meetings, and it changed people's lives. So to take care of mental health at an early age, now Angels at Risk has a curriculum that costs nothing to go into schools. And it's about, you can say mental health, but it's about self-esteem. It's about caring for others at a very early age. And it would be so easy to introduce that into schools, to start that mental health, component of what needs to be addressed. You also need to feed people.
Oh my
You also
gosh.
need to have lunches at school.
Yep.
You need to let teachers be able to be nurturing, all of the above.
I'd rather spend $100,000 on a therapist's salary to talk to 20 kids and teach them life lessons, different ways of dealing with...
That could be arranged.
Different ways of dealing with stress, different techniques. If somebody does something to you, you don't have to punch them. You can do this instead. That's less violent. That solves a problem. And then you save, $2 million a year having them in prison. You saved $1.9 million and your streets are safer. And you don't have to worry about getting jumped in that goes down. All that stuff goes away.
You're going to have to give up stuff, though. You're going to have to give up righteousness. You're going to have to give up vengeance is mine. You're going to have to give up all those things that make some people.
Well, that's that's their lizard brain coming out that's the fight or flight coming out, and everybody I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
And you can't do this, and besides writing a letter to the editor and voting, people get elected because they get people outraged, and I'm gonna throw these guys in jail and 3 strikes. That's how all that stuff happened.
Do we have examples? Isn't there a country that's doing this really well?
Norway is really at the forefront.
What is that?
Again, it's a more humane approach, more holistic approach. The officers don't carry guns, and in the prison, they're just treated like humans.
For anybody out there who's like a throw 'em away to jail, when you hear the words humane and holistic, you probably are like, alrighty, this is bullshit. So I want you to think of it as cheaper, better, and makes your streets safer.
Cheaper, better, make your streets safer is beautiful.
That's the approach.
Yeah.
And it's working there.
It works better.
Yeah.
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 Quit throwing your money away.
And I will, in fairness to the state, they are, California, Newsom, they have invested some money in studying the Norway way, and they're making some good efforts. It's just a very big project here.
So correct me if I'm wrong, in Norway, the prison guards here get $30 an hour, something like that, right?
I don't know their exact.
They get some kind of salary.
Yeah.
That's they live a middle class life. But you got to go to prison guard school, and it's all about get tough, keep these guys in line. Norway, they have psychology degrees, and they're assigned a few inmates to mentor. It's like being a Big Brothers program. Now you have these, okay, I'm in charge of these 5 or 10, however many they give them, little brothers, and I'm going to show them okay, this is how to do things, and how about this response, as a mentor and a teacher while they're in prison. Hearing
right?
that. Isn't that how they do it?
No, it's true. And we don't have that yet, but we do have at least some wardens and some officers who are trying to bring kindness and humanity and treat folks like they're citizens and humans. It's not cascaded throughout the system, but there certainly, I see people trying to do it a little differently.
Yeah. Which would remove or dampen down the amount of fear. I've heard you, I think, talk about how it's the trauma you experience of just walking into a jail, which makes it harder to do the work you need to do to get to that place where you are full of empathy for what you've done and you are not so full of fear and shame and rage,
I must be either oblivious or just fortunate at this point. I don't feel traumatized walking in.
I meant the prisoners.
They are having a hard time, but again, the people who are one of the most amazing examples are some of these guys with Life Without. There's a guy named Ken Hartman, who was one of the first 2 LWOPs to be found suitable in California. He got out about 7 years ago. And what he said was, he referenced the camps as well. And he said he had read in Man's Search for Meaning that there were people in the death camps that had found a way to just decide they could be a good person, even if they were going to get sent off to the gas chamber. In the meantime, they could be a good person. Not everybody, but some. And he said, well, if they could do it there in a camp, I can do it here, even if I do have life without. And perhaps at some point, if they look at us again, I'll have demonstrated that I'm worth taking a look at. So I'd rather be in the front of that line than the back of that line. And he was, after 38 years he served.
And again, you got to do it for you. You can be kind, loving person and be selfish about it because, I want to do this because I'm tired of, punching my fist in the wall, and I'm tired of doing drywall work, and I'm tired of, kicking things and hurting my toe, and I'm tired of being angry all the time, and I just want to chill. And forgiveness and love is the way to do it. There's no other way around it. Those are the big umbrellas. And you got to apply that to, like, if we had a more Norway approach to our prison system, yeah, I know it sounds super liberal and too kind. Like, I don't want to treat these with kindness. Fine. Let somebody else do it, but it's better. It's less expensive in the long run. It's less expensive in the short run. It makes the neighborhoods better in the short run. It makes crime statistics go down. You won't be as afraid in the long run. Yes, there's going to be crime. There's always going to be some kind of crime. Yes, there's always going to be some kind of troubled people. But wouldn't you like it minimized and have it the least we can possibly make it in society by using best practices?
I know you brought, sorry to interrupt, but I know you brought a tape. We couldn't sit around because there are not enough cameras and mics, and it's confusing when you have a lot of people on a podcast. But I know you brought a tape of some of the people that are working with you or you have known, and maybe we should show that tape.
Great.
We're calling this the Pathway to Kinship Story Hour, and let's not waste any time. Let's hear some stories.
For me, last November was a major turning point because I was released from prison. After 25 years of incarceration, former life without the possibility of parole, now I'm home. I met Marc about 3 years ago. I participated in Critical Insight when I was inside. And now I go back inside Lancaster and I facilitate Critical Insight. And it's amazing. Now I'm wearing blue by choice.
Monday was the 3rd year anniversary of my son Marco's passing. He was 13 and he passed due to violence. That's what brings me to this work, right? Is I have found a way to use my compassion and empathy to reach kids like my son and like the person responsible for my son's death, and really try to connect with them and build that bridge, sort of say, not just to honor my son, but that way his death is not in vain.
I'm a formerly incarcerated woman. I was released after spending most of my 20s, early 30s incarcerated in the state of Texas. And now I live in Southern California, where I work in criminal justice spaces of rehabilitation, reentry, and fundraising, supporting nonprofits like Pathway to Kinship secure resources so people coming home from prison can actually be supported.
I stumble upon Pathways, watching this dutiful person, this loyal servant, driving in from Los Angeles every Friday. And I'm ending my day, but I'm thinking, you're like me, who does that? I mean, who sacrifices like that? And I'm just so impressed with Marc. And then I hear what he's teaching in Pathways, the principles, and I want to know them. I want to learn them. And so I learned from him, and now I have an opportunity to work closely with him. And it's just been a joy of my life.
What we do with Critical Insight is it's all in the name. We teach participants the necessity of having insight, not just to go to parole board and to come home, not just to understand why they did what they did to lead them to prison, but also for them to be able to see their potential, to see a bright future. Because for a lot of people, I can speak from my own lived experience, I was called everything except for a human from the day I was born until the day I decided to make that change in my life. And so it's just really about empowering the participants. I got free, I'm staying free, and I'm in the process of thriving right now, here, right now, today.
I run empathy building curriculum with it, which is solely based on Marco, right? It's everything and anything that I can do to bring his voice alive and to keep his memory here with me. I do. And I've also am system impacted. I was a juvenile that spent most of my teenage years inside of juvenile halls and camps, which really brings me that sense of concern that our communities are still going through this, right? And it really it's a passion to my heart on both sides, through my child, but then also to the child within myself as well.
The reality of my reentry is that I really came home with no clear plan to understand what was next. I wasn't given any parole plan from Texas, nor I was even shared any options to consider for my education or work. So I came home with a lot of fear, very little room to mess up, and my reentry was very fragile alongside with others. And truly along this process, I felt like everything was so urgent, and every decision that I'd make felt like it could cost me anything. I think second chances truly don't start at the gate for all of us. They truly start from inside. Preparation matters long before we are released. If I had access to any kind of programming, any kind of rehabilitation programming, leadership programming, workforce development programming, while I was incarcerated, I would have had a head start long before I was released. I advocate for in-prison programming, and at Pathway to Kinship, we work with people while they're incarcerated. So we focus on accountability, job readiness, self-reflection, and credible mentorship. So people that are supporting folks that are incarcerated have lived that experience firsthand. And I am happy with where I'm standing in life. I've achieved a lot of things in the last 4.5 years. Is because there are people out here, and Marc Vahanian is one of them, that really invested in me early on in stage. So I didn't really lose a lot of years and worried about losing more time than what I was supposed to. And rehabilitation and redemption are truly real, and you need a community that supports you with this process.
I believe I have that responsibility to not just walk on with my life. Okay, I know better now, I can do better. No, I believe that I have a responsibility to give back and help anyone that I can, that is willing to receive change, that wants tools for change. I'm here to give it to them.
This has just been life-changing, a reinvention, to work with people who are really trying to make a new life, to work with people who've returned from prison and have gotten educated, trained, skilled, and are bringing their heart and experience, their lived experience.
Wow.
That was really powerful.
Yeah.
Well, I did have thinking about that. Who's the elderly lady that spoke towards
Oh,
the
yeah. Velda Dobson Davis. So Velda is a retired former associate warden. And I met her at Central California Women's Prison. She was an associate warden at San Quentin, which she still goes to and teaches our critical insight class, but she also teaches a distracted drunk driving prevention course for men who are in there for taking a life as a drunk driver. She's a remarkable person. And the women, you should see the way the women respond to her. She's a powerhouse.
Talk to us for a second about, somebody has to let you in the gate. Somebody has to say, yeah, it's okay for you to come into our prison. I'm sure that's not always easy, but there are a lot of people who are part of the prison system that I guess ought to have a shot out,
Well, thank you. So Brant Choate was the first person. He was the former director of rehabilitation for CDCR, and he was the first person to open the door for me personally. And then Amy Casillas replaced him. She's now the current director of rehabilitation for CDCR and big supporter. And as long as we're giving a shout out, Jeff McComber, who's the secretary of CDCR. So he's the big honcho. there's people trying to do good work. It is hard. There's still obstacles to coming inside. There's lots of obstacles to coming inside. But once we're in, we are able to do some amazing work.
Yeah. You got anything? I have one thing.
Sure.
You are so fucking cool.
Oh,
I love sitting here listening
Thanks.
to you talk. And the way you talked about what's going on, was just brilliant and so full of heart. And I listened to something where you were talking about, yep, I'm the guy who says, I love you to people I just met. I love you. And fuck you if you don't like it. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm that guy too. I love that you do that. I just love your big old mended heart, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it took a lot. I was telling somebody when I first got started in the comedy, I started writing. I learned how to write from a book I got at the library. And I was sitting at the counter at this place called Kenny King's in Cleveland, having a coffee and, trying to write some jokes. And I thought I get in a good mood. So I write some jokes and it hit me. I'll never forget it. Like, all I have to do is be in a good mood for like an hour and I can make a living. Because at that time, for me to be in a positive, good mood for an hour was like a goal. Because every other part of my day was like, fuck this guy, fuck that guy, these motherfuckers, like really. And in a jokey way a lot of times, but just somebody came up with a game, like try to go the whole day without putting somebody down. It's like, and I was like, oh boy. You want me to do what now? Like I've been on a path, say I'm still learning. There's days where, there was like, here I am. This is when I was like famous on the Drew Carey, rich, famous, everything you could want. I'm putting up newspapers on all the mirrors in my house, so I didn't have to look at myself in the mirror because I hated myself so much.
Wow.
I would just leave a little square so I could shave.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I love that.
I've done that
my God,
several times.
That.
So I went through episodes where like, oh my God, I hate myself. And I don't even want to look at myself in the mirror. So any reflective surface got covered up so I could just not. Yeah. Of course, when you're on TV, a lot of people think about you anyway. Can I tell you a funny story since you're an actor? I used to go to Bob's Big Boy all the time because I worked at Warner Brothers twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. So it's like a weekend night. I'm like, I never wanted to cook. And, delivery didn't exist except for pizzas. So I drove to Bob's and I walked in, I got my computer bag and my scruff. It was really sloppy. And some guy at a booth off to the side, sees me and says loud enough to his friends that I don't think he knew I heard it. He said, oh, look, it's the same thing I see on my TV right before I change the channel. And I couldn't get mad at him because it was pretty funny. I was like, all right, you got me. You find out, like, you could have a #1 show and you find out really quick that not everybody's your fan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who also, I always try to respond to if somebody's waving or smiling at me or whatever in an airport. But a number of times somebody waves and I go, hey, and then discover they're actually waving at the person behind. I'm such an asshole. Such an asshole. We're probably coming to a close, but you have given me such joy, Marc Vahanian. You'll call me from your 3-hour drive home from a prison or something and share with what's going on. You give me an opportunity to not just feel angry or bad about what's going on. You allow me to participate in what you're doing, which makes, it may be little and small, but it makes me feel better about myself. I also feel like I didn't step up to the plate when these people were starting out and going south or something. I was whatever. I wasn't doing the right things to nurture that part of people's lives. So now to have the opportunity to go, okay, well, I missed that. I fucked up or whatever. I can now participate in people redemption and God bless you. That is such a gift to me. So I want you to know that. And then you get the last word. Is there anything besides, hey, Drew, thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Well, let me say, one, this work isn't possible without people helping. So we can help more people with more funds. That's just the way it is. The reality is, in order to do the work we do, we need more money.
How do you do that?
How do you do
Marc?
that? Well,
he's by the way, he's only talking to you and me.
I'm hoping I'm also talking to a few million others.
Yeah.
Pathwaytokinship.org. Go to pathwaytokinship.org and donate. Meanwhile, I want to thank my team, Pathway to Kinship team, especially Chris Waddell and Andrew Ames. Bless you. And I don't do this work because I'm some angel. I found this out of my own, falling on my knees and trying to find a new path for myself. And I too have been met with violence. I've been robbed. First time I was robbed, I was just a kid. I've been held up at knife point. I've been beat up. I've been frightened. I got lucky. I got help. I had lots of help early on. So I didn't do some of the things that some of these folks did. None of the people I meet had the good fortune of two-parent family and, shrinks that could send me to a shrink. These folks are worth it. And I also want to say, we work with survivors. We know that there's not enough attention given to people who are victims of crime, and more can be done. We're looking to find other ways to do that. One of the gifts of this work is bringing people together who can have shared experience, both people who are quote unquote offenders and survivors. And I see people changing, redeeming their lives, making something of themselves, and coming back and contributing to the community. And thank you, Ted, for this opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for hosting us.
And thank you, Drew, so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no problem. Hey, Woody, thanks for stopping by.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Where Everybody Knows Your Name, sponsored by Nature's Bounty.